Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. It's been a while, but since I was gone, RMS released a new tinted SPF 50. Also some new legendary nude lipsticks we're going to be swatching and trying on. Testing all these products to let you know if they are worth it or not. I love RMS, but not every single product is totally worth the money. Also have a new background. Someone commented and recommended a darker color. I do like it though. So be sure to comment any suggestions that you have because I do take them to heart and listen. So thank you to whoever suggested a darker version. I've been trying out a bunch of different ones, seeing what I like. Let me know your favorites, but without further ado, let's get into the makeup. Alright, let's get started. If I sound sick, it's because I am, but hopefully it's not too bad. But we have some new RMS products here to try today, starting with their new SPF. They launched another SPF, which is actually pretty exciting. This is the SunCoverup Super Tint, and now this is a tinted sunscreen compared to this is the Super Natural Radiance Serum. This has a slight glow to it. I believe it only has 3 shades. It's not really meant to give you coverage. It just evens out your skin with a little bit of glow. This one is more of like a makeup sunscreen type of hybrid product. So this claims to be a long-wearing silicone-free skincare infused daily moisturizer, hydrates all day with lightweight breathable coverage that effortlessly evens skin tone for a natural radiant complexion. Non-nano zinc oxide. There's no chemical SPF in this one. There's none in the other one either, but thought I would clarify. SPF compared to this other one, by the way, this is SPF 30, so you are getting more SPF in this product. So it has those skincare ingredients in it, has coverage, it's SPF 50, has 12% zinc oxide. The shade that I have, I believe, is the lightest shade, which is called Alabaster. It looks like a quite neutral, just fair shade. And I really like this packaging, by the way. It has this like rounded shape to it. It's a glass bottle and you get a really nice pump to it. So let's go ahead and apply this. The texture is actually quite thin, which I'm happy about because no one likes a really thick like tinted sunscreen. In my opinion, tinted sunscreens are hard to get right, and because you need to use a lot of sunscreen to get the SPF 50 if that's what you're looking for, right? So it's like something that's too thick or heavy, you're not going to want to continue to layer on your skin. So I usually use this Luxie Small Contouring for contour, cream, blush, and bronzer, but I kind of want to use this just on this product. By the way, the shade looks pretty good. Like I mentioned, it just looks like a pretty nice fair neutral shade, and I'm going to start just buffing this into the skin. I'm really curious how much coverage we're gonna get out of this. It doesn't really have much scent at all to it. This is applying beautifully with a brush. The reason I'm using a brush and not a sponge like I typically would, if you really want to make sure the sunscreen in a product isn't broken down, water will break down your sunscreen eventually. So using water with a sponge might just like dull down the efficiency of it. So if you're really like being super specific about it, I would just use a brush. This really is going on so stunning. I think it has a beautiful finish. It feels really nice and lightweight, the opposite of what most tinted sunscreens in my opinion are. They're too heavy feeling. This one, like, look at how beautiful the glow is. No brush marks using this brush either. Like, this is gorgeous. I think the shade matches beautifully as well. I'm a little bit surprised about that, but it seems like it's quite versatile. Maybe if you're like lighter than me, it might be a tad dark, but looks pretty good. So that was one whole pump for that left side of my face. So I'm going to use another pump for the other side. In terms of sunscreen, more is going to give you a more even protection if that's what you're really going for. If you're layering this over another sunscreen, maybe you don't have to worry about it as much, but just want to make sure that I'm applying this in kind of the way it would be used, intended to be used. This bad boy has coverage, by the way. I would say it's like the light side of medium coverage, at least with the amount in the application method that I used. It's probably like right in par with the About Face foundation in terms of coverage, which is interesting because it says that it's a tint, but this has really beautiful coverage. I was not expecting this to just look like a really beautiful foundation, but also has SPF, which is like the best of both worlds. I'm gonna test this just like a regular foundation, see how it wears, put other makeup on top of it, and hopefully it will wear well because application so far, like, I love the finish of this. It really is beautiful. It is not sitting on texture at all. It was super easy to apply, and I think the shade is pretty decent. So far so good. I do also have a new product from BAREMINERALS. This is their Barepro 16-hour wear matte concealer. It has this nice thick tube. Just really curious to try this. This also has some sunscreen in it, SPF 25 in a concealer. I'm all for the sunscreen makeup. This shade, by the way, is the shade Fair 100 Cool. But you know, with BAREMINERALS shades, like, their cool tones aren't very like pink tone. They're a little bit more peach. So I feel like this one works nicely for the under eyes. I love the big doe foot on this, and I've been testing this a little bit. I've really been enjoying the coverage level of it. Go ahead and I'm gonna use my sponge to blend this in. This is a really liquidy concealer, which I really usually love because it just blends out over texture seamlessly. I think both this product and the RMS sunscreen, they have that really like lightweight feel, which I just love in makeup. They're always such a hit for me. And then to set, I just want to use the most basic powder I can think of, which is the Dermablend just loose setting powder in the shade Translucent. This is great if you just want a regular schmegular but like good translucent powder. I'm gonna make sure all those creases under my eyes are blended out, of course. I'm actually doing quite a lot of powder just under the eyes. I find with that concealer, it is thin, but it's a little bit like, it has a tendency to want to sink into lines. So I like to just use a little bit more powder than usual. And then the extra, I'm just gonna blend right into the T-zone. And then I'll just take whatever's left to set the rest of my face. This SPF, tinted SPF, is stunning. Like, it really just looks like a beautiful foundation. It sets down beautifully as well. I'm just really impressed by the like perfected finish and the amount of coverage. Like, it really did just cover everything I wanted it to. So, RMS, did they do it again? They have such good products. Some of their products are not my absolute favorite, but I feel like complexion, they just like, they know how to do a good complexion. For bronzer, I'm grabbing my RMS Beach Walk Betty bronzer. You know I love this. I'm gonna use a slightly more dense brush just to get a little bit more pigment out of this. Yeah, I'm obsessed with the skin today. It is looking so good. This is a BK Beauty 107, by the way, which is great. It's such a good like multi-use brush. Use it for foundation, you could use it for loose powder, you can use it to like pack on bronzer. By the way, if you have fair skin and you haven't tried this bronzer yet, just try it. It is so beautiful. It has the perfect tone. Like, as you can see, I'm really like layering this on and it's not making me look orange. It just has the prettiest glow to it. I'm actually going to do a touch of contour using the Sephora Collection contour. This is a very, very cool toned, nice, like not too pigmented sheer powder, and it's relatively like affordable for Sephora. Just in the cheekbones, and then I'm going to go into jawline a little bit. As I'm blending powders over this tint, SPF tint foundation type of thing, it's really not picking up the product at all, which sometimes, you know, if you're going in like a little bit more with more pressure using a brush, it can pick up the foundation. Not having that problem at all. I'm also going to use the RMS Hydra Blush. This is the shade Bermuda Rose. I like French Rosé as well. This one is like slightly more purple. They're honestly really similar. I don't know, they're both so pretty. The French Rosé is like a very blue tone pink. This has more of a purple pink tone. And I've also been loving this Fenty Beauty. This is the Killawatt highlighter. I've been using the lighter shade Girl Next Door. It looks like it would be dark for fair skin, but it honestly isn't. And it is beautiful. Not too bold. I feel like this shade is a little bit more shimmery and dark. I don't really use it, but the lighter one is a pretty pink. Another new product is this Merit brow pencil. This is the shade Taupe. It's their Brow 1990. I love this. I'm already done with it though, which is kind of the reason I always buy drugstore eyebrow pencils, is like there's so many high-end ones that are beautiful, but I run through them so quickly. So this is beautiful if you feel like you don't run through brow products super quick like I do, but I'm gonna grab my NYX brow pencil. I've been doing such a light brow lately just because that's how my brows naturally are, and just like not worrying about them. It's kind of nice. For my eyeshadow, I'm gonna use, this is a NATASHA DENONA I Need a Nude shell, but the inside I've been meaning to show you is actually like a combination of the I Need a Nude palette and the Xenon palette that I just popped out and put together myself. It's basically all the shades that I reach for more, and the more like subtle shimmers. So these top two rows are just matte, and then this is the, I forget the name of the formula. Besides this one that's a regular shimmer, these are like the glassy looking shimmers, and then the Xenon shell is just all of the extras, which was just all the more glam, like more glittery or dark shimmery shades that I don't use on a daily basis. I was like, should I mix them up? And I was like, it would just be nice to have one that I use all the time, and then this one I'll reach for if I want something more dramatic. So when I'm using a shade from this, just know it's a mix of the I Need a Nude and the Xenon. I think I'm just gonna go in with my typical taupe shade here. This is the one from I Need a Nude, and I think I'm just gonna keep the eyes super simple because we're gonna be trying on the lipstick. So I'm gonna take this shade, which is from the Xenon palette. It's like a silvery white, I don't know the name of these, I'll have to find it, but they're like really shimmery but also smooth, and they look like really wet on the lid. And then going in with this matte white that's also from the Xenon palette, just on the inner corner and brow bone. I'm gonna throw on some of the Kosas Air Brow Gel. I've also been feeling like I want to do a wing liner, so I'm gonna use the Revlon Color Stay Sharp Line. I don't think I've used this before, so it might go terribly wrong. Let's try it out. All right, that wasn't too bad for a felt tip. It's not ultra black when you first layer it, which I'm fine with, but I would just be aware of that, but pretty decent. And then some of the Maybelline Firework mascara. Now let's get into these legendary serum lipsticks from RMS. These are the Nude collection from this formula. They originally launched this formula with a lot of like bold shades, which I don't own any of just because I didn't like any of the shades, but then they released a nude collection. I was like, now you're talking. So I have 3 shades here. We're gonna see if anything pulls too warm. What would be like a best cool neutral for fair skin, or if you just like cool tone lips in general. So let's get into these. First off, this packaging, I was not picturing these to be as big as they are for some reason. I don't know, just on the site I thought it would be like a slightly smaller lipstick. Pretty good size. They have this nice soft matte packaging. This first shade I have is Eve. So these are a twist up type of formula. They are really interesting. I'll get into the formula a little bit more, but let me swatch this shade. This is Eve. This is definitely like a neutral. It pulls a little bit warmer on my lips for sure. Let's swatch everything and then I'll swatch them on my lips. This next one we have is May, which looks like more of a neutral mauve. So this is a pretty true like neutral nude. Also pulls slightly warm on me, but not too bad. And then we have the last shade, which is called Naomi, and this one is like more of a berry nude. These swatches I am building up a little bit. So here is Naomi. You can tell this has the most like purpley, like my kind of neutral lipstick tone to it. It's definitely the coolest. This has the most pink undertones. You can tell this one has a little bit more of a peachiness to it, and then this one is like a very very cool tone. So let's try on that first shade that we swatched over here, which is called Eve. When I first applied these, the texture is so interesting. I was like, are these water-based? And then I looked at the ingredients, and the first ingredient is cherry fruit water. So it's like it feels refreshing on your lips almost, which is just interesting for a matte lipstick. Like, can't you tell it just automatically pulls so warm on me? They're very buildable, by the way. You get like a nice wash of color with one layer, but you can also really easily build them up. It's interesting that these are matte. They really don't feel like a matte lipstick at all, like I mentioned, because of that like water in there. It feels very moisturizing. So I just went ahead and blended that out with my fingers. This formula really lends itself to that like blurred lip look. So this is the shade Eve. It definitely pulls warmer on me, but not too warm to the point that I wouldn't wear it. I actually think it's a quite pretty, like if I were to wear a warmer shade on my skin. So there is Eve, and then compared to the hand swatch, just how it pulls on my skin. Next, let's pop on the May shade, which was this middle one here. I don't feel like their packaging really like matches the shades exactly. I did post this on my community tab. Some of you said that about how the packaging is like a lot more muted than the shades, which is true. These feel so interesting. It's like water, but also like balmy. So here's May applied the same way, that middle shade here. This is another pretty nude. It pulls slightly warmer on me, but not too warm. I would still wear it. I think it's a nice shade. If you're not as like specific about cool tones as me, I think this is just a nice neutral nude for sure. And then last but not least, let's put on the shade Naomi, which is that sort of deeper berry over there. So here is the shade Naomi. What's interesting is this shade still really doesn't pull super cool tone on me. It's like a very pretty neutral leaning cool lipstick. This one is by far my favorite out of the 3 of them. I feel like it's the most flattering for me. So the formula of these is an A+++. Like, they are so interesting. I really can't describe it. Like, just try them for yourselves. They have that water as the first ingredient, so it feels really hydrating and moisturizing, and they almost have like a matte glow to them. It's just very interesting that they're matte, but they really do not feel like a matte lipstick. So if you don't like the textures of mattes, you really don't have to worry about that with this formula. And I would recommend this last shade if you have similar taste in lip products to me. Maybe I'll try some of the other shades, but yeah, I do love the formula and finish for sure. I'm just gonna add a little bit of my ColourPop Cool BFF to this. So I will go ahead and wear the RMS SPF tint until the end of the day, test it like a real foundation, see how it wears, because it's beautiful, right? Like still looks stunning on the skin, but we'll see if it wears well. And then with the new RMS lipsticks as well, love the formula. I would say this shade is for sure my favorite if you're looking to get one. I think the formula is so unique, it's worth trying to find a shade that you do enjoy. And by the way, if you want any RMS products, anything catches your eye, my code LindseyM20 always gets you 20% off, so just keep that in mind with anything on their site. Don't pay full price for it. It's currently 1:23, so I'll wear this to the end of the night and I'll be back for a check-in. All right, it's around 10 now. This has been on for quite some time, around 9 hours now. I do feel like it's feeling heavier because my oil is coming through. I'm getting pretty oily, which, you know, it is a pretty like glowy product, so I'm not super surprised there. I did notice it was like bunching up a tiny bit on my chin, but I find that happens with the Dermablend powder sometimes. Usually just gets like a little bit cakey as it mixes with the powder. And I can't really tell too much how it was on my nose. It is also a little bit broken down there, but I was also wiping my nose a lot. So it's hard to tell what was like, you know, me just rubbing my nose and then the actual product. But looking at the rest of the spots on my face that I was also wearing the product, it looks really good. The areas that don't necessarily get oily, I think the coverage stayed like perfect. This is honestly like, I just think of it as a really nice foundation with SPF because it does have great coverage. I would definitely continue wearing this, but just keep in mind that it is going to get quite glowy throughout the day. If you're more oily, this might not be like the absolute best like everyday wear for you, but if you want something that's high in SPF, that's glowy, pretty surprised by this. It's a great color, coverage, didn't oxidize, has that SPF 50 in it, so it's pretty dang good in my opinion. And don't forget, you can use my coupon code, I'll have it in the description, for 20% off. So even though it's a little bit of a higher end product, with the 20% off, I think you feel the quality in the formula and the packaging and everything. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and found it helpful. The review about the new lipsticks and SPF, really enjoying both of these, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.